we're ready to protect Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium.
To quote a wise man, I'm tired of hearing about these motherfuckers.
Welcome to My God a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview this week's matchup between AP number 1 Georgia and college football playoff number 1 Tennessee. And we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out store.mygodapodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at My God a Podcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, Axia Time, at axiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. What do you have there?
I have got the old Tennessee whiskey, the Chattanooga whiskey from Chattanooga Whiskey Scotch Cask.
Oh, nice.
I figured I'd go ahead and have a little bourbon for our volunteers.
Nice.
Getting to the end of this bottle.
I just opened my bottle that never ends, as it is an infinity bottle.
Yes.
So going with the elite, the elite full tilt this week. I don't know if you saw, but there's an official from the Georgia football account today. They came out and said, asked for the crowd to be elite again. Which I think that was I think it was Arkansas last year was when they said that. So to remind everyone, it's an acronym as far as the crowd goes, which stands for early, loud, intense, tough, electric, elite.
Yes. I love it.
So I have a feeling they're going to be elite. I think so too, man. I mean, this should be an environment like nothing else at the game is what I'm expecting. So I'm not concerned about that.
Better than a nooner Arkansas game.
I think so. I believe so. And it's funny because I keep seeing like the videos from last year resurfacing about like the sideline reporter talking about like the decibels, like the decibels are registering higher than the Penn State whiteout game, all that kind of stuff. So, that was at noon against the top 10 Arkansas. This is at 3:30, against, I guess, number 1 Tennessee. I guess it depends on where you look. But before we get too far, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Before we would get too far, I did want to, with these bourbons, I thought maybe we could have a toast to Coach Dooley. May he rest in peace. He was the coach of Georgia football when I fell in love with him. He was the athletic director when we were in school. So, passed away at age 90 on Friday. It's pretty jarring to me, like shocking. Wasn't really ready to talk about it yet. We did the review. But I don't know, just want to, raise a glass to Coach, and we love you.
I'll raise a glass. Cheers.
Cheers. So, yeah, man, I never like met Coach Dooley or anything like that, but I've heard so many like great stories about him. I've seen so many things like come up online. I saw people talking about like, they had written him, like I saw one, it was like some kind of ridiculous thing where someone like applied for the head coaching job, like as a joke or whatever. And he actually like wrote back on the official letterhead and was like, appreciate the application, but unfortunately we're looking for someone with head coaching experience or something, and gave like an actual response.
That's hilarious.
So just stuff like that. So I don't know. Always had good stories about Coach Dooley.
I have met Coach Dooley twice on 2 occasions.
Oh, nice.
One occasion, he was doing a book signing at an event that Mark Richt was also at. Doing his signatures and stuff. I don't remember exactly where it was. I want to say it was in a hotel somewhere, but I remember he was there signing books. Actually, you know what? I take that back. It was at the World Congress Center. I think that he had a table set up where he was signing books one year. I can't remember if it was the SEC championship that I was at, where he was there, or if it was a bowl game. It could have been the Sugar Bowl, or it could have been an SEC championship game.
Sure.
But anyway, he was there signing books, and he was very nice. And then the second time that I met him was when my daughter was in preschool at at a preschool over here in Kennesaw, and he like came one day to preschool. I don't remember exactly why he was there, but the director got a picture of me and him. I'll post it online. I got a picture of me and him chatting it up. Probably no doubt
Nice.
talking about the Georgia Bulldogs. I actually uh, in true fashion, it must have been either a Friday before or something like that. I was wearing my game day attire.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. I do have a signed copy of one of his books that he wrote, so I do have that.
Yeah,
But
I got him
yeah,
to sign a book. I got him to sign the football that I had Mark Rick sign.
oh, nice.
So I need to get Kirby to sign it too now.
Yeah, seriously, seriously, that'd be excellent.
If
Well, cool.
anybody out there can help me get that football signed, that'd be great.
Nice. I mean, I could have just brought it with me to the Bronco Nagurski ward that one time, apparently, but he wasn't the coach yet. So,
Little did you know.
little did I know. Little did I know. Well, cool. Well, I don't know how to transition away from that. But let's see here. Do you I don't know, anything before we get into the matchup notes?
Fun facts. Are we doing fun facts? Is that what we're doing?
No,
Or
not
what are we
yet. We'll
doing?
get to that. We can,
Okay.
yeah. So we can run through. Let's run down the matchup. So kickoff Saturday, 3:30, Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. It's the CBS game of the week. We've got the not a doubleheader. So you got Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, and Joni Dill. Second week in a row with that crew. Georgia comes into the game 8-0, 5-0 in the SEC. Tennessee also 8-0, 4-0 in the SEC. All-time series record, Georgia does lead 26, 23, and 2, which is interesting just how few times we've actually played them. This was not an annual game until the SEC expanded, in like 90. I knew 92. I always forget. I always get that wrong. But when the SEC went to 12 teams and split into two divisions, that's when we started playing them every year. So that always jumps out to me looking at that. Let's see. We are number 1 in the AP poll, number 1 in the coaches poll, number 3 in the college football playoff. Tennessee is 2 in the AP, 3 in the coaches, and 1 in the college football playoff poll. So maybe we can get to that in a minute. And then the official hashtag, of course, is hashtag 10. That's TENN versus UGA. One thing to watch out for is it does look like the weather is supposed to be cloudy. So high of 78, low of 62, looks like 40 to 50% chance of rain, kind of depending on the time of day. I saw someone say something earlier today about like kind of 3 to 6 window. They're actually expecting it to rain. So something to watch out for with that.
Oof, yeah. I heard. I asked the Google today about what the weather was like, and I heard her say what it was. I said, "Shut up, Google."
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that that's going to change over the next few days.
Right.
Push that rain to Sunday. I'd like to have a clean game.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, especially for the, arguably the biggest matchup ever, certainly the highest ranked matchup in the history of Sanford Stadium. Which I suppose can bring us to our fun facts. So I have a couple of things just on the matchup, so I can hit those. So this is the first time ever at Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium that we've had the Associated Press number 1 play the Associated Press number 2. So that has never happened before in the history of playing at Georgia. The closest, there have been 2 top 5 matchups at home in the past. So in 1983, number 3 Auburn edged number 4 Georgia 13-7. Mm-hmm. And then the only other time was in 1942 when number 5 Georgia shut out number 2 Georgia Tech 34-0. So only the third ever top 5 matchup in the history of Sanford Stadium. So pretty crazy. And then even more crazy, maybe not even more crazy because it's not as much time, but since the college football playoff began, there's never been a regular season game between the college football playoff number 1 team against the AP number 1 team. That's never happened since the CFP started. So as far as like ranking wise, and then you add on to the fact that it's 2 undefeated teams in the same division of the same conference, it's pretty big, something we've never seen before.
Yeah. So all those people that used to talk a bunch of crap about how awful the SEC East was.
Yeah, seriously.
How you like us now?
Yeah, for real. It is funny, like when you kind of look at the schedule preseason, like, like last year we were like, oh, the home schedule's horrible. And we had like, game day was there, like twice or whatever. Like, we had that. And it was from like unusual. Last year it was what Arkansas and Kentucky, I think were ended up being the kind of the big games at home.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, I mean, traditionally Tennessee is big, but they've been like off the radar for years. So
Right.
kind of snuck up on us from the offseason, I would say. All right, you got some fun facts?
I do have some fun facts. I don't know I don't know if you're aware of this or not, Jim, but we're not playing Tennessee. We're playing Blount College.
Blount College. Okay, I had no knowledge of this whatsoever.
They were originally founded as Blount College, which they're a Blount on our existence at this point right now, especially right now. So a blight Blount College. Get out of town.
I like it.
The other fun fact is they actually owe Georgia a debt of gratitude for their nickname. They couldn't come up with something themselves. So it had to be someone from Georgia that gave them some reason to exist.
Okay.
So in 1902, an AJC writer coined the phrase "volunteers" for Tennessee, and they used the term "volunteers" from that point forward. So
wow.
They couldn't even come up with their own nickname. It had to be someone from Georgia. And then since then, like, can't remember when it was. I probably could looked it up with all this, but Davy Crockett is the guy that, like, they model their little guy after.
Yeah.
Their meth head Pioneer Man. I mean,
too much Twitter this week.
Yeah. But yeah. So they have Georgia to congratulate for that.
Okay, interesting. I did not know that.
And interestingly, the reason that it was a Georgia writer is because they, I think it was, I can't remember. Don't quote me, but I believe that they beat Georgia Tech. That was
it.
That was how it happened.
So after the Tech game, an AJC writer coined that phrase, or coined the term "volunteers." Okay. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Back when, well, shoot, I don't know, maybe it was before, but before Tech left the SEC, at least. Mm-hmm. Actually, one thing that I don't even have this written down, but I know I read it, so I'll go ahead and say it. And hopefully, I'm remembering this correctly. But so College Game Day will be there. And so if you're wondering, Georgia is 5-2 when hosting College Game Day all time. And we've actually won 5 in a row when game day comes to Athens. So if those kinds of things matter to you, that's how it goes.
I'm curious, what were the 5? Because how many times has game day been there since Kirby's been here?
Yeah, well, so I think it was twice last year, right? Yeah. So there's the Arkansas and Kentucky. I'm pretty sure they were there for Notre Dame. Am I not? I think maybe I'm wrong, but that would be 3. And I don't know. I didn't do that. Like I said, I didn't even have the thing pulled up anymore from 5-2. I just saw that earlier this week and it just popped into my mind. I do know, as far as, like, if you're wondering where they will be set up, they are set up on the Myers Quad. So that's where game day will be. Marty and McGee is also going to be there. They are going to be by the Special Collections Library. There's a little, there's a little quad out in front of that. So they'll be over there.
The other thing that the reason I asked about the game day stuff was because I feel like that, much like many narratives since Kirby Smart has come to Athens, I remember when we were in college and it was like we were so fearful of game day coming to school. Yeah. Even like after I graduated, we were so fearful because it was like, oh my God, we're going to embarrass ourselves in front of national television. I remember that was the vibe. That was the vibe, that we were going to choke or whatever. And yep. Kirby, like, that's why I said, like, what 5 wins on the trot are we talking about? Because I feel like it's got to be all Kirby, right?
See, this is where I don't know. It may not be.
Well, he's a big part of it, obviously. So
yeah, absolutely.
I don't have any fear. I don't have any fear of game day coming in and us not being able to put up a show.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, that doesn't concern me anymore at all. I mean, I used to be like, okay, like even just like in a regular, like if whether they were there or not, it would be like, okay, you want Herb Street to pick Georgia and Corso to pick the opponent. Like I used to like care about these kinds of things, and I just don't even pay attention
Exactly.
anymore.
Corso's curse.
Yeah,
Corso's
exactly.
curse.
So yeah, that's over. That's over. All right, cool. Let's get good with the fun facts. Good with the fun facts. Learn some stuff. We can hit the news and notes. I don't have a ton. Non-Georgia related. Did just want to acknowledge Brian Harsin is out at Auburn officially. So we kind of all knew that was coming, and we're wondering when it would happen. That did finally happen. And it's crazy. Like Cadillac Williams is the interim head coach. It's crazy to think, he was a guy that was there back in our younger days. So we'll see. We'll see where they go long term.
Wasn't he the running back when they had their undefeated season?
The Cam Newton season? No. Well, he was the running back
back when Tuberville.
Yeah. The year when they like finished, like they didn't make the BCS.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. I think it was him and Ronnie Brown, right? With Jason Campbell, that team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll see where they go long term. I don't know. We can speculate on that later. And then I guess, I don't know. I mentioned it earlier. I don't even know how much we want to get into this. Maybe we can talk about it throughout. But I was fully expecting, I should have tweeted it or something, but I was fully expecting Tennessee to be number one in the college football playoff. That didn't surprise me one bit. I was surprised that we were 3. I thought Tennessee would be 1, we would be 2. And the fact that they the fact that they slotted us at number 3, I feel like plays right into Kirby's motivational hand. So it doesn't bother me. I feel like they kind of gave us a motivational gift.
Yeah.
On that.
I think do we maybe have South Carolina to blame for that since they lost and got bumped out of the top 25? So our resume took a hit when they lost. Yeah, I don't know. I once again, like this is another thing that like I just don't even care about anymore. I used to care about this kind of stuff. Like, yeah, we're ranked number 1. What do I do?
Yeah.
But now it's like, man, none of this matters until December. Just win, baby.
Yep. I mean, even with the playoff poll, like the only one that matters is the one that announces who's going to the playoff.
Correct.
Like before that doesn't matter. And then after that, it's all about on the field. So agreed. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Basically, I've got some notes on the injury front from Kirby's availability this week. So we now know that Nolan Smith. Yeah, I'll run through it quick. So Nolan Smith out for the year, surgery for a torn pec. So raise another glass to Nolan. Damn good dog, DGD. Love that he came back for the senior year. Hate to see it end that way, but hopefully he can recover in time for NFL draft. So wish him the best for that. And he will be best. And we'll talk about that. So he talked about Kendall Milton, said he's got the quad strain that's been bothering him. So I don't know if we'll see him or not. AD Mitchell still has ankle injury. Sounds like he's not practicing. Kirby actually mentioned that today. So I would not expect to see him. Yeah, it's brutal. And then I think he actually used the word hopeful actually on Wednesday about him. So I think he got the hopeful kids to death today. Mims, slight MCL, is what Kirby said. And he said, we hope he's going to be able to go. So we'll see there. Dom Blaylock, that was an interesting one, right? Because like he didn't come back in the game after that interception, like the crazy interception play. It's according to Kirby, he was having a lower back spasm after that. So that's why he didn't come back into the game. But they said they think he should be fine. So that's good news. And then the only other thing, that was the only injury stuff that I saw. Only other thing I did want to call out, because we had talked about this on the bye week, was like how much time would they spend on Tennessee? And Kirby did admit that they did spend time on Tennessee during the bye week. Now he added that they spent time on like 3 to 4 teams during the bye week. Right. But so, which I think you said would have been criminal if he wasn't, right?
Yeah.
So they definitely were doing some look-ahead work, which is good.
Well, as we saw, whatever they did for Florida was fine. So I'm hoping that that's going to transpire and transverse onto this week as well.
Okay. Cool. All All right, man. Let's dive in to the game. We'll just go through our normal progression. So we'll start off with what are we looking for when Georgia has the ball. I usually kind of jot down some things about some players and things like that, but this time I couldn't resist looking at their coaching staff. So you'll see some familiar names. Rodney Garner is their defensive line coach, so he's a longtime Georgia defensive line coach. Mike Ekeler is the outside linebackers coach. May remember him as well. And then our good buddy Willie Martinez is still the secondary coach at Tennessee. So take with that what you will. I know, I know we tend to beat up Willie Martinez. So we'll see how their secondary can handle our receivers.
Isn't it third? Is it still third and Willie?
Yes. We'll find out. We'll find out on Saturday.
I think that I actually did not realize that there were so many former Georgia coaches on that
right
on that coaching staff. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's also going to be interesting as we get into some of the more like statistical stuff, especially as it relates to the defense. So
yeah,
so he was the secondary coach in 01 through. So Kirby was on staff with him.
True. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, because Martinez he was secondary coach until he got promoted to defensive coordinator.
And that also means that Kirby was on staff with Rodney Garner. And I'm not sure when did Elker.
I think Ekeler was a lot later because Kirby was only here for 1 year, and he was the running backs coach.
Well, as we all know from that time period, like Rodney Garner was here for decades. So
yeah, he was here forever.
He was here forever. So I think that probably bodes well for us because he was an unassuming assistant at that point. So he probably picked up some tendencies from those guys, is what I'm guessing. And
gotcha.
Clearly nothing's changed from Willie because you'll see later as we start talking about the opportunities we're going to have on offense. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, with the offense, like, I guess for me, I'm just looking at this, some kind of anecdotal stuff. Like we're hearing a lot about the playbook and being kind of being more wide open. Like if there's anything that's been held back, no need to hold back anymore. Like we're going to see everything there. I mean, I think I just feel like I want to see us, I don't know, like kind of do what we've been doing. Not so much do what we've been doing, but like figure out what is working. I assume Monken's going to kind of poke and prod and find what works, and then let's stick with it. I mean, I think that's pretty much what we did last year. Last year we were able to create so many matchup problems with James Cook, right? Like James Cook was heavily utilized in this game last year. We had where he went in motion and was a single coverage, and the whole stadium, Bulldog Nation watching on TV knew we were going to Cook. Right, that kind of deal. Like that's when that started really happening. So, and that actually, thinking about it, like I don't remember that we had done that much, a whole lot before that game last year. So, what does Monken have in his sleeve, up his sleeve to pull out in this game?Maybe some little wrinkles, and I'm not so much saying like trick plays or anything, but just maybe some concepts that we haven't seen as much. And like, are we going to see some things where he's like setting something up, and then does a variation of it, and it hits big. So. I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch that, see how Monken calls this game.
Yeah, agreed. I think that I'm hoping that if we start seeing some drops, if there's a situation where people are dropping balls, that they stick with what's worked all season long, which has literally been the tight ends. So I expect to see heavy doses. I think they had their most targets all season in the last game, right? I think there was 14 targets on tight ends last game. So you mentioned like mismatches and things like that. Like I could absolutely foresee a situation where Brock Bowers gets flared out in motion and some poor hapless linebacker is tasked with guarding him down the field.
Right. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. And then, I mean, I feel like, last week we talked about the fact that Dajon Edwards was the leading rusher on the season, and it kind of felt surprising. And like at this point, I mean, he is the team's leading rusher, right? So I am curious to see how much we're able to run on these guys, because we actually ran on them a lot last year. what do we have? I had that up earlier because we had like 200 something yards rushing against Tennessee last year, I believe. So I don't know. I love to run the ball, obviously. So don't know if we'll be doing that or not. But yeah, we had 274 yards rushing against Tennessee last year. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's a lot. I don't know that we'll replicate that, but
so one thing that Rodney Gardner was always pretty decent at was recruiting a pretty decent defensive line. So that's interesting, given the fact that they're like statistically pretty much on paper. I mean, we're slightly better, but like all intents purposes, they're pretty much on par with us in terms of being able to control and contain the run. Now, I don't think that they've come up against an offense that's nearly as good as us. I think all season. Like, I mean, I don't think that they've played anybody that's as efficient as us, and conversely, we haven't played one that's as efficient as they are, and, you know, as explosive as they are.
Yeah.
But you know, the Achilles heel and where this thing kind of where the rubber meets the road against this team is that, man, third and Willie. I mean, Willie Martinez is the defensive backs coach. Like,
yeah.
I mean, this game on paper seems like it sets up so nicely for Stetson to throw for like 400 yards if he wanted to. I mean, the AR-15 threw for like 300 something yards on these guys, and we saw what he was able to do against Georgia. So
true.
I don't know, man. I always thought that this game would come down to how Stetson played, and I think that still holds true based solely on the fact that if he starts throwing interceptions, we're screwed. But if we don't turn the ball over and he protects the ball and he starts making good throws, like, not that he hasn't all year, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd like to eliminate some of the drops. I'd like to eliminate some of those floaters that he's let go, where he's had guys open and wasn't able to hit. But it ultimately is going to come down to, can he, like, I'm not so much worried about if they get pressure, because he seems like he's able to still kind of figure things out when we're moving him around, or when he has to move around. Like, he's still able to hit guys. But the biggest thing is that I just don't need to see any. I don't want to see any mistakes. I don't want to see any bad passes. That's what I'm looking for from the offensive side of things. And then if you control your possessions and control the ball and not let it get out of your hands. Yeah, no, that includes fumbling, right? I really like our chances in this game to put pretty decent numbers on them from a passing game perspective. And that will open up opportunities for the run if we can, you know, show that they can't stop it, right? Can't stop the pass, then it's going to open up opportunities, because they're going to have to commit guys into the box to try to attack Stetson, which tends to be the way that teams have beaten us in the past, is getting to Stetson. But no one's been able to really do that all that effectively.
No, I mean, Missouri I would say was the closest, right? But they weren't able to sustain it.
But Missouri also had a pretty decent secondary. Like, you know,
I think their defense is pretty good. I don't think we realized that heading into that game.
Right. So here's how bad Tennessee's secondary is.
Okay.
They rank 128th in allowing passing plays of 10 plus yards.
Wow.
Out of 131 teams, mind you.
Okay.
They rank 110th in allowing passing plays of 20 plus yards out of 131.
Wow. Okay.
So, and just to put that into context, like, UGA has given up only 98 plays of 10 or 20 plus yards, like, combined. Tennessee's given up 154 of those types of plays.
Wow. Okay.
That's a big disparity in the secondary. And now you could also argue that, like, is it that way because teams were having to throw throughout the games because they're trying to catch up? You might be able to make that argument, but either way, like, those plays are going to be there. Like, I don't think that, I mean, we've seen it we saw Alabama was able to move the ball pretty effectively. I mean, like I said, the Florida game, and I would say the Pittsburgh game would also be another decent indicator, because they're like a middling, you know, whatever ACC team. I can't remember what conference they are.
They are in the ACC these days. Yeah. That is correct.
But the Florida game is probably the more comparable, because obviously it's a shared opponent. But
yeah,
it was at some point after, and now we're going to get to the Tennessee offense. They switched their game plans up, because you can kind of see it in and their wide receiver, they switched how they were playing and started throwing more to Hyatt or whatever. So teams were having to play catch up because they're getting bombed out of. Gotcha. They're getting bombed out of the game. But
yeah,
I mean the defense, their defense doesn't appear to be very dangerous now. Like I said, I still think that we're going to have to commit to continuing to try to run the ball. What I fear, and I think that you are kind of in that same boat, is if we get behind, does Monken abandon the run, and unnecessarily so, kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like in this game, like, and that's my thing with this one. And not to get too much into their offense, but like if we do get behind, which is possible, right? Like I feel like being behind is okay. I'd love to I use like the tennis term, like staying on serve, right? You know, like if they score a touchdown, we score a touchdown, and we're trading a little bit early and touchdowns and field goals, I'm not so much worried. If we get behind multiple scores, what are we going to do about that, right? Like, and I just want to see. That's where I was saying, like, I want to see us kind of stay the course. No need to press, and let's play offense like we trust that our defense is going to figure things out, kind of like they did last year. So that's my thought there. I will, I mean, could we see more Darnell Washington in this game, right? Like we'll see, because that guy is like a mismatch nightmare, So we've been seeing more. His utilization has been increasing of late, anyways. So will that continue? Something that did jump out, I was rewatching last year's game against Tennessee today. Kearis Jackson really jumped out at me early in the game, although like I think that happened early, and then we kind of stopped going to him in that game even, which kind of led to some of our texting back and forth around like still kind of curious what's going on there. But just regardless of who it is, I do expect us to do some stuff. Some of the stuff we were doing with him was like the short pass and let him run with the ball kind of stuff, right? So I can see us doing some of that a little bit early, kind of poking maybe a little bit of pass to set up the run. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I just want to see us come out fast. Like I want to see us come out fast in this game. I would love that. No waiting to get things going kind of stuff,
Yeah. I have a feeling that I don't know. I mean, what games this year do you feel like that we've done that though?
Yeah. Like Oregon and South Carolina. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon was great. I mean, we had an entire offseason to kind of prepare for it, basically. But and it was kind of a known quantity, which frankly, Hooker is a known quantity for us because we played him last year. Like,
I'm saying that it's probably not fair. I think it would be fair to say, I mean, we were up 28-3 at halftime against Florida. So, I mean, we started pretty dang fast against them, I guess you could say too. So
that's true. That's true. The one thing from the Florida game, talking about Florida, that kind of scares me, and I guess we can maybe that's gonna pivot to their offense. But I mean, we keep talking about our offense and how we are pretty confident that we're going to be able to move the ball. Like,
yeah.
Conversely, like they're going to be able to move the ball as well, and that's ultimately what's going to come down to this game is these two offenses. Is it feels like it's a game where if we can hold them on 3 or 4 possessions and keep them out from scoring 3 or 4 positions, that we should be able to either catch up or outlast or outgun. Like I feel like we can outscore them if we can stop them on 3 or 4 possessions, right?
Yeah. Agreed.
That's kind of how this matches up, is that we just need to make sure that we don't give them more possessions than they need, if that makes sense.
Yeah, agreed.
By turning the ball over. And that's where controlling the ball, scoring in the red zone, like taking advantage of our opportunities when we get it, obviously scoring touchdowns more so than field goals, but like this does kind of feel like that, if you start punting and, start getting behind, that things could potentially get murky for us. But I do think that we are good for multiple stops in this game. But I do believe that they're probably they're going to get their yards. And there's a reason why Vegas has this game as a is it still 9 point?
8 point last I saw. Yeah.
So that's down. It started at 10. It's just moved down. I think it was 9.5 earlier this week. It must be down to 8 now. So like that, that jives with everything that I've seen from all of our statistical modeling on what the score is going to be. So, I think it's ultimately going to come down to the offense, which we might as well just pivot and I think we can pivot, move on to our next section.
Yeah. So, before we get into when Tennessee has the ball, just want to remind everyone that season 3 of My God, a Podcast is presented by Oxy Time. If you want to commemorate the Dogs' national championship in style, you've got to check out their Georgia National Championship timepieces. One thing I want to call out, I'll be there on Saturday. I'll be out and about, tailgating and such. And, the images of these watches on the website are terrific. But you really, if you want to see it in person, fully appreciate the quality. I'll be around. I'm going to wear my watch. I wear my watch to every home game I go to now. Like we've talked about before, John, I actually like the release from my Apple Watch that I also have. It's kind of nice to not be getting all those notifications throughout the day on a game day. Kind of lets me, just focus on what's going on in Athens and with the game the whole time. So it's pretty cool.
I agree. And it's also like one of those things where my watch isn't like telling me to get up and move when I'm sitting there watching football and enjoying beverages. So
nice. I like it.
I don't have to worry about that with my national championship watch from Oxy Time. Yes.
Exactly. And then one last thing, just exclusively for our listeners, you can get 10% off these timepieces by using the code MyGodAPodcast at checkout. And one last reminder, if you want to get this as a holiday gift for someone, you definitely want to get your order in early, no later than Cyber Monday to make sure it gets here in time for Christmas. So be sure to go and check them out at axiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. All right. So let's transition into the Georgia defense. So what we're going to be looking for when Tennessee has the ball. One thing that I guess I kind of wanted to start with was just the environment. So we talked about how loud Sanford Stadium was last year for the Arkansas game. The team is calling for the crowd to be elite. Tennessee has only played 2 road games so far this year. So they played at Pittsburgh. That was an overtime game, and then they played at LSU. So obviously that's a hostile environment, but that was like an 11 a.m. local kickoff. So right. They had this Tennessee team has not had to deal with something like this yet this season. So I think that's an important thing to watch out for when you're looking for maybe some false starts, the crowd kind of making an impact there. And then our buddy John Tweet Sports put together a nice graphic. So in Athens since 2017 under Kirby Smart, Georgia is 32-1, 7-0 versus ranked teams, and 3-0 against top 10 teams. So pretty good track record of late. And I don't know that's on our side as well. Let's see. Hendon Hooker, obviously, right? Quarterback. He's been dealing 156 of 219 for 2,338 yards, 21 touchdowns, and only 1 interception this year. He's also got 73 carries for 338 yards and 4 touchdowns. He is their leading rusher. They're a bit of a running back by committee. So Jalen Wright and Jabari Small are pretty similar on carries, both right around 475 yards. Wright's got 5 touchdowns and Small has 8. And then the receivers, the guy that everyone is hearing about is Jalen Hyatt. So Hyatt kind of burst onto the scene this year, 45 catches, 907 yards, and 14 touchdowns. So Tillman is back. He's been hurt a lot this year, though. So he's got 21 catches for 268 yards and a touchdown. But John, I know, we like to say joining the conversation in progress. So one of the things we were talking about earlier was Hyatt and kind of him bursting onto the scene this year. He was there last year and he didn't really do anything against us.
Yeah, he wasn't really a factor, but like I mentioned earlier in the episode, there was a pivot, and it appears to have happened around the Alabama game where Hyatt just was able to burst onto the scene. Now, I really don't know. The guy had 207 yards, 5 touchdowns versus Alabama, which is, not anything to shake a stick at. He's averaging over 100. He's averaging over 100 yards a game receiving, I feel like, or pretty close to it or something like that. But the guy has burst on. He had 207 yards versus Alabama, 174 versus UT Martin, 138 versus Kentucky, and a couple touchdowns in each of those games. But they clearly see something in him that wasn't there last year.
Right.
So it's definitely going to be something to look out for. Now, all of that said, everything that I've seen from these guys, and you saw it in the Kentucky game, I saw it in their Florida review. I feel like I saw it in the Alabama game as well. It just feels like the Hooker and Tennessee, they're scheming, they're scheming him open and mismatches or whatever. Like
Yeah.
every time you see the highlights, it's like he's throwing wide open guys,
Yeah.
and Hyatt just happens to be one of those guys all the time.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. The McCoy guy, I think he's a tight end or something like that. I saw him busting open against Florida on a wheel,
Mhm.
on wheel routes. So like they obviously do things with scheme to try to get these guys open, because that's how their big plays are happening, is that they're just scheming these guys completely wide open. And I just like I said, I think they're going to get their yards. There's no doubt there. I just don't think that they're going to be able to get those chunk yard plays that they're used to getting against other teams, because they're coming up against one of the top 10 defenses. Like I said, like Georgia's only given up 90 something, or sorry, 98 plays of 10, 20 yards, whatever. That was
Mhm.
good enough. That was good enough for like eighth in the country in terms of in that metric. And Tennessee on the flip side is 128 or something like that. I think that's what I said. Yeah, 128.
Yeah.
The I just don't see us losing ourselves on that. Now, one thing that does worry me a little bit, and we saw it in the Florida game, is can we take down a tough to take down quarterback? And Hooker is one of those guys that like will squirrel away just like Richardson was able to do. And if he's
Yeah.
able to do that, are we going to see some backyard football? And that's definitely something that I worry about. Now, that said, if you can match up, if you match up well with their wide receivers and don't lose your man, don't lose your assignment, don't lose contain on these run plays. I like our chances, because Hooker seems to be, he's Graham mentioned this, like it seems to be that if the read's not open, he's kind of like a Justin Fields kind of guy. Like if the first read isn't open, there's probably going to be problems with that play.
Mhm.
And if he gets pressured, but conversely, which UGA is really good and over indexes at getting pressure to the opposing team's quarterback more so than they are used to. And that's where you come into the net yards per play impact that UGA is having on opposing teams' offenses. So like I do think that they're going to get their yards, but I don't think they're going to get anywhere close to what they're used to getting, because our
Yeah.
defense so effective at holding them in check. And that's why I feel like that we're good for a few stops, like 3, 4 stops or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
And when I went, like what I was noticing, because I went back and from what I rewatched from last year too, right? Like, I mean, they did. So the crazy thing is, I mean, they had a guy running wide open on the second play of the game, and Hooker actually overthrew him. He probably doesn't overthrow that guy this year, right? Like he's hitting those guys in stride this season. So can't do that. But like we made a big change during that game last year. So that was the game where Brini like lost his starting job, right? Because like early in the game, that's where we were getting beat, was at the star position, at the safety position, and that's what I've noticed from what I have watched them this year as well, is a lot of pre-snap motion, right? So they're moving their guys all around, trying to find the mismatch, trying to like overload one side. Because last year I saw a lot of like three receivers to a side with only two DBs, and they throw that way, right? So like, you know, and I feel like last season they started off hot, right? I mean, they're moving the ball against us, they were scoring, and then eventually we shut them down, and we made some adjustments. Now we've played this offense, we've seen it before, and they're not doing anything different this year than they did last year. They're just executing better. So I feel like we kind of seemed to figure it out last year. Should be able to apply those same concepts, and I've got a lot of faith in the star position in between Bullard and Tyke Smith. So I don't know.
yeah.
Those guys make me feel good.
Yeah, I mean, other than I've seen some comments from some pundits and things like that, or maybe I can't remember who it was that I saw. I think it was something Graham posted, but like some coaches were questioning, Keely Ringo, and rightfully so. I think that that's probably a question mark. They'll probably look for
Mm-hmm.
them to kind of pick on Keely. But the the biggest thing is going to be just making sure that they're on first down. We're keeping them in long situations. Because, like I said, Hooker is tough to bring down. We get him in shorter down distances and things like that. Like honestly, like everybody talks about the passing game and how electrifying their offense is, but from what I understand and how this Baylor, because this offense is based on the Baylor offense, right? It kind of starts and ends with the running game, which if they can't get the run game going, it is going to present problems for them. And that's one thing that I do think that we're going to be pretty good at doing is keeping them in check. Like I said, keeping Hooker contained and getting pressure on him is going to be important. Like I'm not too concerned about being able to bring him down, but I do want to make him uncomfortable in the pocket to where he bails out and has to move around, because when he's getting pressure is when he really, really underperforms. Stetson, still manages to make passes and plays. And if you go check out Dog Central, Graham has some stats on that and what that looks like. Yeah. But if you get pressure on Hooker, he tends to break down, and that's where we've got to get pressure on him. I'm not worried about necessarily taking sacks or getting sacks on him, but that obviously would be nice. But we just need to get guys hands in the air, in his face, get him comfortable, get him moving a little bit, and some good things are going to happen for us.
Yeah, and one of the names that didn't get mentioned earlier when we were talking through the injury stuff was Jalen Carter, because he is back, right? And so we saw an immediate impact from him against Florida last week, and it sounds like he is like full go for this game. So that's huge. That's huge for on both the pressure note and then also stopping the run, right? So which is going to be very, very important in this game.
Yeah, because he'll be able to take two guys on. They'll probably be double covering him and things like that. Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, as long as we can keep the game in front of us, and not let their wide receivers run free behind us. Yes. I really like our chances here. And again, if our offense doesn't turn the ball over, maybe we get it. We luck out. One thing that Tennessee has been really good at this season is feasting on turnovers. They are +8 turnover margin, and UGA is 0. So, that's one area that we have not been particularly good at this year that we were pretty good at last year, is getting turnovers and getting interceptions and things like that. Obviously, we have a new defensive back coach. Maybe that's part and parcel with some of that, but I think that's going to be something to watch, man, because like I said, they're used to throwing to wide open guys and taking advantage of the turnovers that other teams are giving them. If you do that against this team, that's a recipe to lose this game.
Yeah, I mean, and, as it is with any game, right? I mean, turnovers are always a great equalizer. So, protect the ball.
You say that. I mean, we had three turnovers in the last game, and we were still able to overcome it. But like a team like Tennessee. A team like Tennessee, like if I were to tell you before the game, Jim, like, hey, we had 3 turnovers in this game, like, how do you feel like it ends?
Yeah,
right?
No. No, we can't do that. We can't do that again. We cannot do that again. Yeah, for sure. Cool. I had a couple of special. Anything else on Tennessee's offense or defense? Because I got 2 special teams notes.
Nothing on that. It will be interesting to see like how, because I believe that the plan is to, because Chambliss came in for Nolan Smith, and as we saw in the third quarter, that was not good later in the game, because he kind of struggled. So that was something else that I think Graham had mentioned over on Dog Central, was that I think that, like you said, this in the game last year, Brittany lost his starting job. Like, I think that they're going to pull the hook on people if they're losing their assignments in this game, because this is a game that we absolutely have to have perfection.
Yeah, agreed.
So
agreed. Cool. Let's see. For special teams, I mentioned Mike Ekeler earlier. He's also the special teams coordinator, so another former Georgia coach having an impact there. And did just look up their kicking situation. So Chase McGrath is their place kicker. He's 45 of 47 on extra points, so he has missed 2 extra points, and he is 11 of 15 on field goals. So he hasn't kicked a ton of field goals, I guess. Although he did have that knuckleball to beat Alabama, for what that's worth.
Right.
Which I thought was short, by the way, like when I initially saw it live on TV, but
It was
clearly it was not.
really close to being short.
It was. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
special teams is special teams is going to be interesting because they're both fairly close. You say special teams and turnovers, so
yeah.
um, Jackpot actually is he's top 10. He's top 10 in scoring, and Chase McGrath is not too far behind, but he's definitely not top 10. So I think the edge there is on us in terms of like actual place kicking.
Mhm.
But the avenue that we have shown propensity for this year is we can't have any muff punts this year, this game. So I'm hoping that
Yeah.
we can
Well,
show
and I
that.
was gonna say too, like even like thinking like the Florida game last week, right? Like how many times did we run the kickoff back where we probably should have had a fair catch, right? Fair catch gets you to the 25 now, and we had multiple times, which like sorry Kyrgios, because I think it was Kyrgios most of the times, but like he was fielding the kickoff and returning it and getting tackled short of the 25. So something to watch there. That's something that I don't know. Like what is Tennessee's like coverage? What are their coverage units like? But something to watch for.
There was a stat actually. I sent it to the boys. I sent it to the boys earlier this week. Tennessee actually is one of the top teams in average starting field position.
Mm,
The
okay.
average starting field position for Tennessee is actually like one of the best in the country. So if we start running things out of the end zone that we don't need to, yeah, no, thank you. Like let's just take
Yeah,
the touch.
seriously.
Let's just take the touchback, guys, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here it is. Let's see. Where is it? Yeah, Tennessee's number 2 in the country. They are number 2 in the country for average starting field position.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah. So something to watch for. Got to take care of the ball in that there are 3 phases of the game, as we know, right?
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
we got to do our jobs there as well. All right. Well, let's see. But as we go into the listener questions, just wanted to remind everyone that we are a podcast that is powered by Zencaster. So when John and I set out to record this podcast and start this podcast, we had to look for a platform that we could use to record in a virtual environment, right? Because I'm in North Carolina, John, you're in Georgia. So we did a bunch of research, and Zencaster really had what we needed. So you've got HD video recording that we use to make some of our little videos that we'll kind of send out from time to time. But also, all the audio is recorded locally on both of your computers, so you get a nice high quality recording of the audio there. So it's been working for us. We've been using it, all 3 seasons. And so if you want to start your own podcast, be sure to go to Zencastr.com/pricing and use our code MyGod. You'll get 30% off your first 3 months of Zencastr Professional. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And there's always, we'll include a link in the show notes so you can do that and click on the link on your own to make that much easier. All right, John, let's hit the listener questions. You cool with that?
Let's do it.
All right. We got another Facebook one. Actually, this is just a direct message from our buddy David. So he said, on a scale of tearing down the goalposts against Alabama, which he noted was totally understandable, to declaring themselves champions of life, how pathetic does running trick plays against UT Martin and wearing alternate uniforms against a team that you were supposed to blow out make Tennessee look? I think you were okay with both of those, from what I recall. Yeah, I mean, I think the uniforms don't bother me. It was a night game. I don't know. Like it was close to Halloween. I think they look like Halloween pumpkins or something, I guess. So I'm fine with that. I mean, it is kind of weird. I don't know how late in the game they were running trick plays against UT Martin. Like I haven't seen any of it. It does seem kind of weird to kind of empty your clip on some of those things and put that stuff on film. Although I guess, I don't know, maybe they're putting on film to make you have to worry about something that they're not going to do again. Probably something like that. So I don't know. It's, definitely somewhere in the middle.
They're just trying to run their offense.
Yeah. So you're not highly bothered by it?
Not highly bothered by it at all. In this day and age, like it's kind of like like bitching about the bat flip.
Okay. Yeah. Fair. That certainly doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let's head to our Twitter questions. Zach SC Dog 864. In proportion to past regular season matchups, what game would you equate this to in magnitude? I had a hard time coming up with one, John. To
Like
be
past
perfectly
regular
honest.
season matchups. So I got
Yeah, for
one.
Georgia.
The Georgia blackout.
Okay,
For
that was
me,
a big one.
for me, that was the magnitude for me, because it was a top 10 matchup. It wasn't like a 1 versus 2 or anything like that, but like that kind of set the tone for that season, right? So you had ESPN game day in town. We had a hyped up home crowd, and we got our butts beat. So that was not good. But that was a different.
The bad blackout.
The bad blackout. Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
I mean, just in terms of like the importance of the game and how things can shift for a season off of a poor performance kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
like I said, I think that the seasons have shifted, but like, I guess if you wanted to do, like, we've been talking in the text thread that like the correlation for this game is like basically UT is on the 2017 trajectory that Georgia was on, and this is their Auburn game, and they're coming for the first time on the road, a hostile environment, ranked opponent, all that kind of thing. So that set the tone for that season as well.
Yeah, so I was trying to think of a game. I guess I was probably using different criteria. I was trying to think of when's the last time we were so late in the season and there was this much on the line in a regular season game. And so I came up with a couple. I came up with two. One is not one I think won't be popular because you'll probably be like, it wasn't really that important. But 2018 Kentucky, actually, Georgia at Kentucky, like the SEC East was on the line had we lost that game. Now, we ended up blowing them out, but that game was for the East. So that's one. And then the other one I had was 2002 Auburn. So 2002 Auburn, again, not both teams undefeated, but that game, we had to win that game to win the East. Because ultimately your goal is to win the East, to go to the SEC championship, right? Because then everything happens from there. So that game, we lose that game, Florida wins the East. So that was my other. Those are the two I could come up with. I'm sure there's something like further back. Like there's probably some Georgia Auburn game late in the season that was for the SEC or something that I'm not thinking of. But those are mine.
Right.
Let's see. 51-7 GATA. What is your most favorite win over Tennessee? He said that his was actually 2003 at Tennessee, the Sean Jones fumble recovery before the half of that game, where Munson said it wasn't even Munson. Scott Howard pointed out to Munson that Sean Jones was wearing hobnail boots as he ran, is what Scott Howard said. So I think I tipped my hat to mine. So go ahead.
For obvious reasons, the Tennessee win at home with the night the goalpost came down. There's a reason we have an episode dedicated to that. So,
yep. Well, if you're gonna go with that one, I'll go with the hobnail boot. The year after, and I was at that game. I would say that was a big pivot moment. Where I think the players started to kind of believe in what Rick was doing. So I'll go with that one.
Agreed. The David Green coming out party.
Yeah. It's a big one. Will Kaplan asks, how do I lessen the Munsoning?
Listen to the film breakdown that Graham's going to put out.
Nice. Mic drop.
I mean, seriously, like he's gonna. Yeah. I already know what he's gonna come out with. Like, it's basically everything that we've talked about, right? Like they're gonna highlight ways that we're gonna be able to expose their secondary. They're gonna highlight opportunities that we're gonna have on offense, and the things that they've been able to feast on defense, like against lesser defenses that we're just not going to be able to do. And so, like, if you really want to do that, go and listen to what Graham and Josh are going to come up with, and John probably, I think he's also participating in that as well. But I don't think they haven't posted that, right? I haven't seen any updates on it.
There's a chance they're doing it like right now. I know they've got their Florida review. I haven't seen a Tennessee preview yet.
Right. So beyond that, go and watch the Florida game, because after our Florida review, I think I told you, Jim, I think I told you this, but like after we recorded, I went back and like watched the game. I went back and watched the
Tennessee Florida game.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was just flabbergasted at what I saw. So
okay. That's sage advice. I like that. I was just gonna say, like, if Munsoning, what's it gonna get you? Mine is much more like nothing concrete, but just you're not gonna gain anything from it. No need to worry.
I'll go ahead and say it. I'll go ahead and say what I saw from that game. Florida is one drop away from having a very substantial shot at taking down Tennessee.
Yeah.
If their wide receiver doesn't drop that pass, as as they were trying to get closer to have a closer shot at the end zone, right? And so their wide receiver dropped the ball, and that made the fourth down play like impossible, basically.
Yeah, didn't Napier like go for 2 inexplicably at one point too?
They did a lot of stuff. Florida left 6 points on the field. Like they missed field goals. Like they should have taken field goals. They didn't take. Now that said, and this is something we didn't talk about, but like, I mentioned like needing to hold possessions and keep possessions, keep drives going. He went for it on fourth down at some really ballsy points. He went for it on fourth down, I think, when they were on their own 30-yard line or something like that. And everybody was like, I can't believe he just did that kind of thing. So if you are presented with a situation where you are worried about being able to keep pace with an offense, the solution is to go 4 downs.
Nice.
Because they're not very good at it. Like Florida was 100% on fourth down in very, very like high magnitude situations where Tennessee had to stop them, needed to stop them.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hey, we've got a pretty good track record on fourth downs throughout the season as well. So maybe something to watch for. We had a couple of questions on Nolan Smith. I'll read them both. So Chad Jarvis said, with Nolan done for the year, who do you expect to step up? Does this make us more likely to get gashed by the run and more open to bigger pass plays without his pass rush ability? And then Jury Rigger said, what fallout can we expect from Nolan Smith being out for the season? I think like who to expect to step up. I mean, I think it's going to be multiple guys, but I mean, one guy that I'm definitely going to watch for is none other than
Robert Beal.
Last year, this is the time of year when he came on last year. It was Adam Anderson up until the Florida game before he got suspended, and Beal really came on late. So another outside linebacker. I'm looking for him to to step up and fill some of that void there.
Yeah, Jalen Walker is probably going to be getting a good look, good few looks. Sherman as well.
Yeah.
And to answer the fallout, like for me, like I'm not even really worried about who's going to slot in because in Kirby we trust. This is why you recruit at the level that we recruit at. I mean, Keely Ringo was, not a huge facet of the defense, but he's obviously was a huge part of towards the end, and was a good depth element for us as well. But this is why you recruit, right? Like this is why you recruit the way we recruit. The biggest fallout for me that I'm worried about is the communication, because he's the Nakobe Dean element on the field. I feel like even though he's not in the middle like Nakobe Dean was, he still was a big part of like the communication that happens between all positions on the defense, like pointing things out, like talking to guys, like all that kind of stuff. He's a leader on the field, right? So that to me is going to be a big loss on the field, because it sounds like that he's still going to be participating in everything off the field. Like they're basically going to treat him like an assistant coach now at this point, right?
Right. I was just going to say that. Yes, correct.
Yeah. So,
I mean, to me, I think it's fallout. Yeah, and it's just can whoever is in there set the edge like he can, because that's one of the places where he excels. I mean, he's one of those guys that doesn't. Nolan Smith is one of those guys that doesn't always show up on the stat sheet. But I know he's very highly thought of by NFL scouts because of the way he plays and just watching how he's impacting the game, even though you may not see it in the box score. So, I mean, but again, like you said, man, that's why you recruit next man up. And that's what Kirby said in the press conferences. It's next man up. Someone's going to have to fill the shoes. So,
yeah, for sure.
All right. Benjamin, does Arian Smith get more than one snap? And then he said, will we see A.D. Mitchell in 2022? I mean, to me, it's a clean sweep of yes and yes. I mean, I think Arian Smith does get more than one snap this game, and he has been of late, anyways. And I think we'll see A.D. Mitchell back. I don't know how far out he is, but I think we will. I think we'll see him back before the season's over.
Yeah, I think he'll be back. I don't know. Where do you think? Like the Georgia Tech game, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would love to get him back. I mean, so different injury, but that's what we saw with Pickens last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw Pickens return in the Tech game, get him a few snaps, get him comfortable heading into the SEC championship. We're a long way to go from being in the SEC championship. Obviously, have to win this game plus more. No one's clinching the East by winning this game, by the way, because we've got more games to play. But it definitely puts you in the driver's seat. So,
Right, right.
I think it would make sense logically just based on that, if nothing else.
Arian Smith is a full go. I actually think that they probably have some things packaged up for him.
Would love it. Would love to see it. Let's see, John Michael D. I'm not totally sure. He said to clarify, we have ran away from the total number of sorry Carters over. So I think we had set it over under for the season, and I think we're way over it, I guess is his point there. So that's funny. Hey, sorry, Carter.
You got to keep track of these, John.
And then he said, is there a more annoying sound than Rocky Top? I cringe if either of your answers is yes, because I haven't heard that yet. I
got to tell you, I've been preparing myself. I've been singing it all week long just to get myself. I'm getting my reps in. I'm getting my mind right to just prepare for it and just be able to sing like F you Rocky Top. I'm just getting used to it. You might as well just embrace it because you know you're gonna hear it all game long. It's kind of like so here's my answer. The more annoying sound is when Florida was good. You remember that song? You know that song that they play where it's like da da da.
Yes.
Oh god.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yours. Okay. Which it's like Jaws. They take Jaws and then turn it into like their fight song, I guess, or some version of it. It's like, you're gators, you're not a shark, but I digress.
Yeah.
Man, I'll say though, like, we haven't really talked about this much, but the Tennessee fans are coming out. They have come out of the woodwork. They have all been like hibernating for years, and holy cow, it's like I see them at the grocery store now. I never see people in Tennessee stuff around seriously. Where I'm at. So they're back, and man, they are the worst.
Yeah, dude. It's like they've come out of their meth-induced hibernation, and
oh my gosh,
it's just like they're. I think I coined the phrase. It's like they're a terrorist organization. They're Hezbollah.
They had kind of lulled me to sleep over their years, because I mean I despised them in college. Yeah, dude. But they were a lot better. But it's like I had almost kind of sort of forgotten how annoying they are.
I remember, and so all this is like giving me flashbacks to my college years, and I remember Tyler Turner and I we would go to the Tennessee games, and I remember explicitly it wasn't for football, it was for basketball, but when we went to the basketball games against Tennessee, man, those people were just absolutely awful. I remember I remember everything about it, and yeah, man, it's like just having flashbacks to how awful they are. And people that have been super quiet on Facebook are now posting about their team, and it's like, where you been, bro?
Yeah, seriously.
Did y'all just stop playing football the last few years? Come on, man.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. So sorry, we went off on a tangent, but that's okay, as we tend to do.
I hate Tennessee.
I don't like them either. Let's see, Micah. Hey dogs, what is the biggest thing y'all think we can do to mitigate Hooker's deep ball threat? He had a couple other, let's see, player that scares you the most and your favorite UT memory. So we hit on our favorite games earlier. I don't know, is there anyone that scares you more? I mean, is it Hyatt that scares you the most, or is it Hooker? Where do you rank them?
It's going to be Hooker for sure. If Hooker has a great game, if Hooker is playing Heisman level ball, that's probably not going to be good for us, right? So the offense begins and ends with Hooker. If Hooker is untroubled and unjostled or whatever, he's going to pick us apart. It's just a matter of time. If he sits in the pocket, can't make the first read, and I guess that may be the key is like what is Hooker's first read looking like? Is if we can cover up that first read, I really like our chances to stop this offense.
Okay. So yeah, I think it's that. Oh, go ahead.
I don't think we're gonna have like there's a reason we're ranked where we're ranked in terms of the rushing attacks. So I don't think that we're gonna have any problem with that. Holding contain on Hooker, like if we can keep him in the pocket and keep him stressed out, like that's where this game is going to be won is keeping him stressed out. And conversely, it's the same thing for Stetson too, frankly. But
yeah, that's where I think like so the first question was the biggest thing we can do to mitigate the deep ball threat. I mean, I think I was going to say pressure, right? And again, to your point earlier, not necessarily sacks. So I think it's the pressure and taking away that first read. So I think those are kind of two things.
Disrupting timing and getting him moving, getting Hendon Hooker moving. He does not like to move and throw. That's
true. Yeah, usually he tends to tuck and run, right? He doesn't throw so much on the run. Let's see, Fletcher Proctor. If Georgia wins this game, and I'd like to think we will, has Kirby earned the reputation of being the best big game coach in college football? ESPN keeps overlooking Georgia because defense isn't sexy, but Kirby Smart has our fans not fretting over a game like this, unlike prior regimes. I'll say, I think that's true. I think like nationally, I think it might still take a little bit more time. To say like the best big game coach, I mean, it's that's Saban until he retires. Historically he has been, but I think this can right a lot of past wrongs, and this will go a long way to continue to keep quiet those old narratives that have been quiet ever since January 10th.
Wasn't there? I feel like there was a stat that like someone had put out there that like since the road loss to Auburn in 2017, that we've gone on a run where we've only lost like one game or something like that. I can't remember. That was the thing.
That was at home. Or it was, the thing I was talking about earlier was the John stat on the Georgia at home since 2017, or starting with 2017.
Yeah, I feel like I saw a stat like against ranked opponents or something like that, against AP ranked opponents since 2017. Like we've gone on like a significant run since that point. Like basically, like since we lost to Auburn on the road, like So
the one that I have, that was the one that I read off earlier from John, was strictly just at home. So this includes the 2017 season. In home games, Georgia is 7-0 against ranked teams, and Georgia is 3-0 against top 10 teams at home since 20, inclusive of 2017 and onward. So,
yeah, I need to find that. I need to find that. I can't remember. I saw it, but I obviously didn't write it down or anything. But
that's like me with the game.
Since we lost on the road to Auburn in 2017, basically it was like a wake up call for Kirby Smart in terms of playing ranked opponents. That plays into your question.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would say that the tides are shifting in that regard for sure.
Yep. Let's see. Dwight Doodadog says the obvious question: over under on the number of times we hear Rocky Top this Saturday. He said the clicker starts when the team runs out of the tunnel pregame until 0 to the end of the game. He says he will pledge to keep an accurate count. I actually came up with a number earlier today, and then I didn't write it down, and I forgot it. It was like 4.5, I think. I think that was my number. I'm not going to, and I don't want to predict. It is what it is. That's my number.
Yeah, a billion. Because they'll play it no matter what.
they're just going to play it anyways. That's true. I wasn't taking that into account. That's fair.
This is not Coach Trill's over under. So I'm taking this with the
It doesn't matter if you're
tongue in cheek.
Yes. Fair. Let's see. Gator Hater. How sweet will it be to watch Georgia beat the number 1 ranked college football playoff team twice in less than 12 months, this time in Sanford Stadium? He said, this time I'll be in my normal seat on the 45-yard line, 40 rows from the field instead of 45. On the 45, 2 rows from the upper deck. #GoDogs. So would be sweet, Gators. You know, this is This is like one of Josh's really good buddies, John, by the way. So he goes to the Florida game with Gator Hater. So shout out, buddy. Would be sweet. Would be a huge win, and like we said earlier, probably the biggest matchup wise, ranking wise, etc. home game ever in Sanford Stadium. So it would be pretty awesome. Kyler Dennis came in after that, and this was tongue in cheek, by the way, but he said, "Do you think we will rush the field after such a historic victory?" So, no. Are we to win? No. That's the quick, simple Kirby answer. No.
No.
Lula34, y'all know my hatred of this team. Will this game be, I'll have a beer or two and relax in the fourth quarter when we're up big, or will it be breaking out the Jefferson's Ocean before it even starts to numb my fears?
I'll be breaking out the bourbon before kickoff. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So like, I mean, buckle up, because there's a reason why the spread's like 8 points, 7 points, whatever, 8 points, 9 points. This is going to be a tight game. It's going to be tight. Like I said, I think it's going to come down to a handful of possessions. I mean, that's ultimately what I'm expecting here is who can play perfect for the entirety for 4 quarters. Is it going to be Georgia? Or is it going to be Tennessee? And based on the talent index, like the blue chip ratios, I like our chances. I mean, talent trumps pretty much everything in this game in college, and the only teams that have been able to trump Georgia have either been teams that we just weren't ready for yet, and in the I go back to like 2017, 2016. Beyond that, it's the Alabamas of the world where blue chip ratios are greater than ours, or had been greater than ours. That's now changed to be basically a push. So knowing that we are vastly out talent them, I'm leaning towards Georgia in this, even though breaking news, the John and Grammer like throwing out like where the public betting is going on this game, talking about the money is all on Tennessee. 80% of the bets and 93% of the money is on Tennessee, which means that someone's going to come up poor.
Well, that the only thing I'll say there is you do have to remember, like, we say these guys are good and stuff like that, but they also want to make money, and so I don't know. Watch out for that. That's all I'll say on that one.
Yeah.
All right, Jason Huggins. True or false? This will be the biggest crowd on campus of all time. I think, to me, it's going to be hard to beat Notre Dame, because I think I'm trying to remember, we like added seats or something for Notre Dame.
We had to add seats. All right, so here's a question, clarifying question.
Yeah, go for it.
Biggest crowd in terms of like stadium capacity, or biggest crowd in terms of like Athens capacity?
Fair. He did say on campus of all time. So that is true.
But on campus could mean a lot of different things, right? Like on campus.
Okay, just in town. Are there going to be more people in town for this game than any game ever?
1,000%.
You think so? Okay.
To quote John, like, he's got those Tennessee guys that are renting out restaurants and things, rooms in restaurants and things like that. Like, there's a reason why this game is the most expensive game of all time.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. There and again, like, Tennessee has been in the wilderness, and they're all coming out of hiding. And I mean, they're excited, they're confident, they want to support this team. So I think that's a good point. It was a much farther travel for the Notre Dame folks. So yeah, that's a good point. I was looking at stadium capacity type thing, but in the aspect of on campus, I agree. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And game days here yet again, right?
For sure.
I mean, it's going to be it's going to be wild on Saturday.
I'm heading into town, and I'm not going into the game, so
right. Yep.
There's going to be a lot of folks like me out there watching in the parking lot.
Right, for sure. And then his last thing is the Dogs will win this game because of blank.
You go first.
I'm going to say because of our defense.
I like that. I really like that answer, but I'm going to have to go with The Dogs win this game because of Stetson Bennett.
Oh God, what an answer! I feel like we just gave the two best answers they could possibly give. Like I got a huge emotional reaction from that, and I think you got a huge emotional reaction from my answer.
I got a huge I got a huge emotional reaction for a different reason, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's ultimately going to come down to Stetson. Can Stetson protect the ball?
Yep.
If that answer is yes, we win. If the answer is no, we don't.
Sure. I have to add, my sister said, my sister did text me and was like, John needs to stop saying like what's going to happen to keep it equal because all those things happened against Tennessee. So we're going to knock on wood right now. I'm knocking on my head. So Mel, it's okay. It's okay. A reminder that what we say does not actually matter.
Yeah.
We're over such things. And I knocked on my head. So we're good. And then Jason did close out with the tailgate will be in Fuego this Saturday. So Jason, we hope to be able to stop by to see you. All right, that wraps it up for the listener questions. So thanks everyone for submitting. We truly enjoy the engagement. Much appreciated. And now it is time.
Oh my God! Trying to put glasses on it.
Robert Beal.
My God, a freshman.
It's time for coaches over unders. Once again, as always, John, we will start it off with the offense. Let's see. You are still in the lead. So again, we flipped the coin, or you get to pick. Do you want me to go first, or would you like the honors?
You go first.
Okay. The first one, over under 325 UGA passing yards. I'm going to go under.
You're going under.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go over.
Okay. Okay, your turn. Over under 200 rushing yards for Georgia.
Under.
Over. Opposites. Okay, my turn. Georgia players that score touchdowns. Over under 3.5. And I'm going to go over.
I'm going to go over as well.
Okay. All right, your turn. Switching to the defense. Tennessee passing yards. 375.
I'm going to go under.
Agreed. Okay. My turn. Hendon Hooker over under 50 rushing yards. And I'm going to go under.
I'm going to also go under.
Okay. And then your turn. Tennessee first half touchdowns, 3.5.
I'm going to go under.
Okay. Agreed. I'll go under as well. For special teams, Tennessee punts the ball over under 2.5 times. Let's see. This is my turn, right? I'm going to go over.
I'm also going to go over.
Okay. And then wrapping it up, miscellaneous. Tennessee penalties due to noise over under 2.5.
I mean, how do we
just say we could just say that the false starts are caused by noise, like that kind of thing.
Over.
Agreed. I also have over. And I wrote that down ahead of time. So
we didn't discuss this, but Tennessee is one of the most penalized teams in the country. They are ranked number 124 out of 131 teams in penalties. And conversely, the University of Georgia is ranked 15th.
Wow. Okay. That's a good nugget there, John. I like that.
I was saving it. I was saving it for that over.
For the over under. Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Now conversely, some of those folks that maybe have watched the Alabama game, Tennessee ranks number 21 for opponent penalties per game. Penalty yards per game, I guess is what I should say. But yeah.
So does that mean opponents have a lot of penalties against them, or not
exactly?
Or a lot?
Tennessee has benefited from a lot of penalty yards.
Man, I feel
they're basically getting over 60. They're 65. They're basically getting 65 yards in penalties per game versus teams.
I mean, between that and the turnovers, because a lot of times turnovers, like the way, interceptions, whatever, but like fumbles, it's the way the ball bounces sometimes and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, man, it's like everything's been going their way. Maybe that can change on.
Conversely, Georgia is ranked number 100 in opponent penalty yards at 47, but roughly 47. Okay. They're getting 47 yards off of penalties. So,
okay. So we're not getting a lot of yards off of opponents' penalties.
We're not getting as much, obviously, but in a game of inches, right?
Yep.
This game is going to come down to field position and turnovers. So, buckle up.
Yeah, man. Coach did have a bonus one, and this is more just a statement. tears during the Dooley tribute, and he said too many. So agreed, coach. Agreed. So there is going to be, by the way, they are going to honor both Vince Dooley and Charlie Trippi at this game. So there'll be official stuff going on. I know the team is, my understanding is I think they're going to wear a decal on their helmets for Trippi, and I think there's going to be a patch on the jerseys for Dooley. So pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
Pretty
win
cool.
For Vince. Hashtag win for Vince, y'all.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. All right. Well, coach, as always, thank you for sending in the over-unders, and thank you for tracking them now. That's a new addition for season 3 is that coach tracks their over-unders. Tracks their record. So
we're doing our best. We're doing our best to increase your experience, dear listener.
That's right. I don't know how much I like that we're tracking it because now because you're beating me, but that's okay. That's okay.
We should have like a little trophy, like the Dundies or whatever. The coach, Coach Trill's, the Coach Trill, the Coach Trill trophy.
We totally need to do that. I don't know, Coach. We'll talk about that on Saturday. And I feel like I don't know. Coach. Like, are you going to provide us with a trophy? Like, I don't know. We'll see. People are asking. All right, let's do the predictions. So moving into the final predictions, I did just refresh to check, and I haven't seen any line movement. So Georgia is favored in this game by 8 points in Vegas. The over-under is set at 66 points. That gives us an implied score of Georgia 37 to Tennessee 29. So, right there, this is in stark contrast to the other games this season, right? Like right off the bat, very different to what we've been seeing. But hey, we've been saying, can the SEC East step up? And folks are always talking about the home schedule, et cetera. So we're getting at this game. Let's see the CBC R2 Sam, our buddies over at Chapel Bell Curve. They've got this game. Their model has Georgia winning 36.3 to 24.6. Odd Shark, we look at, they've got a super close game. So they've got Georgia wins. They've got kind of funky numbers, but it's 29.6 to 21 is what they've got. So I mean, everyone is predicting a tight game. Like you said, buckle up. This is going to be. I guess we don't know, but we'll see. It's leaning toward a game to live up to the hype, but we'll see. We'll find out. We'll find out on Saturday. Where are you at with this, John? Or do you want me to go?
No. You go ahead.
Okay. My general thing is, I've been looking at it a bit like, okay, here's where I'm going to go with this. Earlier from Hug Dog's question, right? He said the Dogs will win this game because of, and I said the defense. And so I did take a look at how is Georgia's defense impacting our opponent's average points per game. And so I did those numbers today, looking at how our Power 5 opponents, how many points they scored versus their Power 5 opponents as compared to what they score against us. So we are impacting our opponent's average points per game by negative 14.78 points. So we're holding teams to 2 touchdowns less than what they tend to score against the Power 5, right? Mm-hmm. So Tennessee against the Power 5 is averaging 41.6 points. So that's kind of where, so I just used that, honestly. So I've got Georgia wins this game 38 to 27. That would be a win. That would be a cover, and that would be the under.
Nice. I like that. I went with a gut. I went with my gut at first, and then I took a look at what the eggheads have to say.
Okay.
So I'm going 34-24, and I'm going, that reason is because that's what I initially was thinking for this game was 34-24. If you take an average of the CBC scan, CBC R2 Sam, the implied score and the Odd Shark predicted scores. If you take an average of all three of those items, that's what you get is 34-24.
Okay. Nice. I like it. It should be an epic showdown, right?
It's going to be fun, man. I mean, we're basically a point off between the two of us, which is,
I know.
greater than, yeah, I don't know, man. I think that this, there's definitely a realm of possibility where, if they start turning the ball over, that this game gets just like it did last year. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure. It could.
There's also conversely a realm where if we start getting loose with the football, that this game ends up being very bad for us too. So
this is one where like I do feel like the realm of possibilities are kind of all over the place with this one, right? I will say, here's what I'll say. Like Kirby, I mean, I go back to the home record, right? And I mean, like, just look at what Kirby has done at home. If you take away his first season, which that was a transition year, right? The only home loss is that loss to South Carolina, and that was this is nothing like that. That was noon kickoff. The players were asleep. They weren't ready to go. They weren't taking them seriously. They were not focused. That is the only game we've lost at home. So because of that, like that's where I feel like that statement, like to me, I want to rule out the like us getting blown out because like I just don't see us being not focused and stuff like that. We're going to be up for this game. Like I said early, the playoff ranking number 3, they're going to feel slighted. Kirby's going to use that. They're going to be motivated and they're ready to protect the home turf. Man, we're ready to protect Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium.
To quote a wise man, I'm tired of hearing about these motherfuckers.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, man, I think that he's gonna have them fired up to play. I'll go back to the lean on this as far as like the vibe check for the various fan bases is Tennessee put out a graphic, put out a social media post from their official account talking about how they were number 1 in the country. And none of the other teams in the top 10 or whatever, none of the other teams put out anything because Tennessee's the only one that hadn't been there before.
Yep.
Or maybe it was Tennessee and TCU or something like that. I can't remember. I can't remember.
Yeah, there were 2. I don't remember what the other one was.
Yeah, but Tennessee for sure was commenting on their social medias about them being ranked number 1. And all I got to say is welcome back, mofos, because you're about to come down to earth.
Yeah, I would just love to take this away from them.
I think I told John's been saying that that these Tennessee fans are going to open up the checkbooks, and that checks out with how much the get-in price for this game is. You can basically pay your mortgage or car payment or whatever on these ticket prices. I think it was like several $1,000s earlier, but now it's like the get-in price is like just shy of $700 or something like that.
But just remember, if a Tennessee fan offers that money, that it's not worth it.
Yes,
money can't buy that experience. That's all I got to say.
Don't sell your tickets to Georgia fans, because I'm sure there are Georgia fans that are willing to pay a healthy profit on your investment. But man, is there going to be
do sell to Georgia, don't sell to Tennessee, right?
Correct. Did I say it? Yeah.
I'm not sure. I just wanted to make sure.
There are plenty of Georgia folks that are willing to pay a good amount of money for this game.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
But yeah, man, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hitting up we're going to see some of our colleagues in the podcast industry. This weekend. When are you coming into town? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm going to come in on Friday. I'll get in Friday night. So we'll need to let's text, let's sync up. Should be able to just meet you wherever, and hopefully maybe we can kind of tailgate hop together or something. Go visit some folks. That'd be fun.
I will say that for the folks here, I am planning to. I need to check and see what time they open. But Raising Cane's, we're going to get some Raising Cane's.
If Will Kaplan hasn't. If Will Kaplan is still listening, he's so excited right now, and Chris, our buddy British Bulldog, is very jealous.
Yeah, seriously, I gotta one up that man some way. Like you got to see Stetson's jersey in the locker room. I got Raising Cane's, bro.
Right. I like it. Yeah, they don't open until like 10 from what I don't know. Maybe they open early. All right. We need somebody
Don't
to
tell
put
me
glasses
that.
on it. Well, we need somebody to put glasses on it because I don't know. Like that's what it says on their website, but
Oh my God!
no, I just did the wrong button.
Trying to put glasses on it.
Yeah, so we could put glasses on. I don't know. Maybe they open early on game day. I'm not sure. Their normal time I think is like 10. So we'll have to figure that out. But yeah,
We
okay.
will have to
Okay, I
figure
like
that
that.
out.
That's a good idea. That's a good call. So yeah, so if you see a couple of guys walking around, I'm going to post my travel, outfit as usual. So I'll put it on the socials. You'll know how to look out for me.
I'll have to find you.
I think it's we've said Hunter has said that it is baseball pullover weather. So if I stick to that, you think it's gonna be hot, too hot, or too cold?
I don't know, man. What were the temperatures that you had on your?
Let me scroll back up. I had high as 78, low as 62. The issue is the chance of rain. So hopefully that changes.
See, I'm like more of a throw a poncho in my back pocket kind of guy.
I'm definitely gonna have a poncho. Yeah, I'm gonna do that for sure.
So like for the rain, like I don't know, man. 60 is hot. I'm more of like am I gonna wear shorts or pants situation.
Okay. As the debate rages on. See, I was thinking pants with my baseball pullover. We'll see. I can make a game day decision. I'll bring both. And I'll go step outside and see what it's like in the morning.
Well, I'm gonna as we've discussed, I'm gonna get my run in, and I'll let you know ahead of time.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, you got to do that. I meant to remind you and I forgot. So you said it before I even.
There's no need to remind me. It's already booked. Like I've already like.
Okay, I'm just making sure. There have been some games where it didn't happen, so just want to double check.
Well, as we've discussed, like I've decided that it was my fault.
Okay.
It was my fault. We came out soft against these teams. So my mind is right. I've got 6 miles. I've got 6 miles scheduled for Saturday
Legit.
morning. So
legit.
I'll be primed and ready to go. It's part of my wake up. It's part of my plan. Like I'm gonna get up at like 4 or 5 o'clock and run my for an hour, basically 6 miles, fairly easy with Champ Bailey. And I'm gonna get Carter up when we get home. We're gonna head to Bojangles with Kyle and his boys, and we're just gonna head to Athens, man. We're gonna make a day of it. Boys trip to Athens, and I'm so excited.
Nice. Awesome. Love it. All right, man. Well, can't wait for it. Highest ranked matchup in the history of Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. Looking forward to getting to catch up with you in person again this weekend.
Hey, it worked out for us last time.
That's right. That is right. Very true. Good call. All right, man. Looking forward to it.
Nothing sucks like a big orange, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.